Hey guys, welcome back, Sentinel RC. And as I said before, that I would do another video to show you guys in in-depth detail on how to run and use your Radiolink 7-channel RC6GS transmitter or your radio. It's a wonderful radio. I made the upgrade not long ago. I had the GT5 by FlySky, which is also another fun, awesome one. But the range was a bit short on that one at 200 meters. And so with this guy here, you get 600 meters and you get, a telemetry cable, which, really sold me. And that's why I made the enhancement and upgrade. And I love it. It's been awesome. And both my cars are working well with it. And I like it a lot. So here to share with you guys on how to program and use your handheld radio. So I currently run it with my Pro 4 SC10. I got a pretty fast system in there. I'm doing some speed runs with my 4x4, although it's not. That's why you see the speed famous on it. Drop the shocks pretty low. This is some additional body work that I did to add some fins to see if we can, add to the aerodynamic feel of it. I also use it with my Sinton. The discontinued 6S works perfectly and beautifully. I did custom wing work with that myself. But yeah, got the roller chassis. This guy works perfect. I got a 6-cell battery in there, and really happy that I was able to get a hold of this, and I take care of it. I got some Power Hobby Raptors on there. Look those up. Those Power Hobby Raptors are belted 17mm tires with a wonderful tread on it. It's a good, hard, rugged tread for this good, hard, rugged looking, 4x4 RC car here. I really like it. But I plan on getting the 3S, the V3, right? Third version, which is also another Sinton, but definitely need that in my arsenal. So I'm definitely gonna pick one up. So let's get into the video. Hello, and so here we are going through the steps to start programming your Radiolink RC6GS. So this is a 7-channel one. It's the version 3, as I said before. And so we're gonna go through some of the basics first, and then we'll come back later in another video to go through the more advanced programming measures. So first start, we have our on-off button. Very simple, very straightforward. We have our USB, so we can hook it up to our PCs, and we can do some additional programming online, download any sort of upgrades we need, so forth. Here we have our buttons. We got our exit, our decline, which is our negative, plus, incline, and our enter button. So these help us to scroll upward or downward as per the plus or negative sign. Pretty straightforward there. And now we have our channels. So this is a 7-channel receiver, a 7-channel transmitter. And so with that being said, channel 1 is the steering, channel 2 is the throttle, channel 3 is the knob here, channel 4 is here, channel 5 is a 3-way switch, channel 6 the 3-way switch, and then channel 7 here is our button. And what we have here is our steering trim and our throttle trim that we can, move upward or downward as we see fit. And there's an auxiliary trim that we can kind of program to work for one of our pieces. So we're gonna get this powered on. So as you see, there's the home screen. So this is always gonna be the default home screen. And on the home screen, you'll see the car model that you're using. You'll see how many volts are left in the transmitter itself, under either batteries or the battery pack you're using. Here's your steering trim and your throttle trim. As I said, you can kind of see how much throttle you're giving it, how far your steering goes. So we're gonna connect the car. That way I'll give you guys a look at how things start to stack up when everything is on and working. And so here we're gonna get some power in on the SC10. And what you'll notice right away is you saw the bars come into play. That lets us know that we are connected, that everything is binding and that it's on. Just to kind of give you guys, look to the bottom right of your screen, like right here. You'll see the tires start to move. So now we know we have power. Powering off. Okay, so now when we want to see each one of our channels, we have to hit the exit button one time. So So this is going to give us a nice bird's eye view of what's going on with each one of our channels. We have channel 1. As I said, that's the steering, so it enables you to see exactly how far you have steering. So I have a +6 right-sided trim. The car was pulling to the left a bit, so I set it a little bit more to the right to help keep it straight. Our number 2 channel is going to be our throttle. Our number 3 channel is our toggle here. So if you see it, I have it set at like 70. That's going to be for gyro, and I'll explain that later on to you. We have channel 4, which is a button switch. So either as we press the button, that little button which is right here, once we hit the button at channel 4, you'll see it either goes to the left side or right side, stays the right side. Channel 5 is a 3-way switch. Channel 6, 3-way switch. And once again, channel 7 is the button here, another switch. So these are the working measures of all of our channels, pretty straightforward there. So to go into our next screen, which is an awesome screen, which is our telemetry screen, it's going to let us see, the battery power. It's going to let us see RSSI and so forth. We hit the exit button an extra time. So at the moment you see RSSI is null, right? What is RSSI? That is the receiver strength signal index. So whether or not we're receiving a good signal from our transmitter. So we're going to power the car on again. And boom, we get a good RSSI, right? We're standing pretty close to it. We have a rate of RPMs, and we have our EXT. The EXT is going to be this external battery pack that's inside the car, that's powering the car. And then we have our receiver at 5.3 volts as well. So this is our telemetry screen. It's pretty awesome to see and to have. This is one of the features that drew me to the RC6GS. I have a FlySky GT5, which is also cool, but I just didn't feel like it had enough range on it. For one, it has 200 meters, and it just didn't have this telemetry screen. So the Radiolink has 600 meters and the telemetry screen, so I get an additional 400 meters and a telemetry screen. So it was a no-brainer for me to pay like $10, $12 extra that I paid for the FlySky. So next, we're going to head back to the home screen. So with that being said, we hit the exit button once again. So that takes us back to home screen. Anytime you turn your remote on, you'll always default to what's known as the home screen here. So to go into our programmable screens, we want to click the exit button and the enter button together. Here we have, right? So we're going to language, we have model, EPA, steering exponential, steering speed, throttle exponential, throttle speed, automatic brake system, Excel, idle up, sub trim, reverse, the dual rate, ATL, you have mixing, we have auxiliary channel name, we have the alarm, the gyro, and so forth. And we have quite a few other things that we can kind of, program, as well as the reset, the factory reset. So to start out on number 1, we have language. Once again, anytime you want to get into one of these numbers, programmable screens, all you do is move the cursor down to the number and you click enter, and that'll have you enter into that particular screen where you can start to adjust or program the way you'd like. That was language, so we have either English or Chinese. I'm assuming that's what that was. Next up, we've got model. So this allows for 30 programmable cars, which is super awesome, right? The last model I had at the GT5 does 20. So I get additional 10 cars that I get to program underneath this particular transmitter. Super cool. So I've got my SC10 and my Sentin 6S programmed inside. And so what another cool feature does is that when you program underneath these models and so forth, that the transmitter saves all of your programming presets. And so like when you switch down to the Sentin 6S, if you've had a trim, which is a strong right, and you've had it at a +20, when you get to Sentin, it can start out at 0 or whatever it is that you programmed it at. It totally remembers all of that. So that's another cool feature about this. So we're going to exit. It's pretty standard. We're going to go into our EPAs, endpoint adjustments. And so once again, we can set that how we like. Pretty standard when you're dealing with your throttle and your steering adjustments. And that's programmable from channel 3, 4, 5, all the way to channel 7. Once again, we're going to exit and head down to the steering exponential. Once again, Steering exponential helps us to control the sensitivity of our steering. So the closer we are to the midline, more neutral we are. As we get down to the outer extremities, that's when it gets a lot more sensitive. And so you have a rate from 0% being neutral and outer edges of the corner being, a lot more sensitive. So this rate can be adjusted. You'll see as the curve goes higher and higher, when we're in the positive phase of the rate, the sensitivity is closer to the midline. As we get close to that midline, and then it kind of tails off, goes outward. When we get to the negative portions of the rate, as you can see, it pulls further and further away. So that midline is a little less sensitive, and further away out at the extremities is a little bit more sensitive. I like to, at the moment, I'm still toggling with that, learning about it. So I like to keep it at 0. And let's exit that screen. We're gonna head down the the steering speed. This lets us know how fast we want our turning and our returning on the throttle to be. So when we start to turn, how fast do we want it to go far right or left? And when we release the wheel, how fast do we want it to return back to neutral? At 100%, that's nothing at all. When you drop it down to 0, 1, 2, 10, that's when you have more programmable measures in control of the steering speed. At 100%, there is no delay at all. So you play with that, and each one of these precepts is just going to be based off of what you like for yourself and how you like for your car to perform. Going down into throttle exponential, we have the curve, we have the VDR, which is controlled with the knob here, or we have the forward EXP. So haven't really played with this, but this basically, as far as the throttle is concerned, enables us to know when we're at 17% throttle. You see that line moving close to the dotted line. That's when we know we're at 17% throttle. And then when we set channel 2 or P2, position 2, we can see that, we can move further and further along the line until we get all the way to the far right, which would be at that max throttle. This is good, I'd say, for speed races, drag racing, and so forth, when you don't want to flood your throttle too heavily at the very beginning. It kind of lets you see and gradually apply power to the vehicle to get it going good. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of wheel spin early on. Coming down to throttle speed, same thing, we have different modes. So if you turn the mode on, we'll enter in, go into speed 1. Once again, this will teach us allow us to apply a delay to the throttle, right? Whereas we can be at 30, 40%, where the power to the vehicle is slow to get on, and past that, that's when we get a lot more burst of power out of the transmitter to the car. So once again, I haven't played with that much, and I like to keep that off. And let's head down to the ABS, automatic brake system. Pretty standard. As the car starts braking, it doesn't just slam on the brakes, that it applies a gradual braking to slow the car down, especially when cornering. You get to play with a lot of these little precepts that you can adjust to add optimal performance to your vehicle. Learning about that is another plus for you to just learn how to manage your car. So I highly suggest that you do that. Excel, how do we forward and brake? Same thing, the percentage, moving in the percentage and acceleration, and applying how much of a percentage of brake to get us to stop on the dime, or a nice gradual application of the braking. Idle up, more or less for nitro cars, right? They need to have idling in their vehicles for them to run and turn on. And so that's one thing for the nitro guys to kind of pay attention to and to learn how to run. I personally stay away from that. We have sub trim. Sub trim, you can set a little bit of extra trim when your car has a particular bias to one side or another. You set the sub trim, it enables you to kind of, straighten that line out. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. If you've been, dealing with RC cars for a while, you should pretty much know about sub trim. reverse. Now the reverse occurs when you're adding into a new servo, a new receiver. Sometimes it just reverses what works on the transmitter, right? So whereas forward throttle, sometimes you just have to, if it's forward and is moving backward, you have to put it at reverse, so that way forward is forward and back is back. And the same thing with your steering. Sometimes turning right, the car will go left, and vice versa. So when you hit the reverse, when you turn right, the car goes right. Turn left, the car goes left. Pretty standard there. Dual rate, I don't really mess with. ATL, I don't deal with. The mixings, I haven't dealt with at the moment, and so we're gonna come down to channel 18, which is name. So this gives you 7 spaces to kind of name your vehicle. Super cool, super basic, got all the characters of the alphabet and some of the additional ones to add some cool mods to the name that you want to add. That's pretty standard. Here we have an alarm. Tells us at what point you want the transmitter to start sounding off to let you know that your battery is low on voltage. Transmitter, as well as the EXT, which is the battery of the car. Or if you lose a signal, it'll start to signal off as well. You can kind of set that. That's pretty cool. So now the gyro. Gyro is controlled not only here but also on the receiver. So once you first get your Radiolink transmitter, controller, and receiver, it's bound by the factory, and so they come already binded, so you don't need to bind, but you will have to turn on the gyro. And so that's done by quick pressing 3 times at a small little area just between the 2 antennae that it comes with, and then the light should turn from green to red. It'll start to flash initially. After it flashes, you hit those 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and you wait for the color to change. Then it should go into gyro mode, which would be red, or gyro S-bus mode, which is purple. But that's where you adjust the gyro and get it turned on. And then here, you can adjust it in VR mode. So in VR mode, which is this knob here, then this enables us to control the sensitivity of the gyro. Whether or not you want 0% or what have you, you can turn the gyro off that way, but turning it off through the mix doesn't necessarily turn the gyro off, what I found. Fail safe, you can set your fail safe on your throttle, your steering from channels 1 to 7. Your ID seed, this is the ID of the controller that's given by the factory. Your DSC, which is that headpiece, which I don't have. You can set a timer, which helps you practice your lap times and so forth, getting around, and just being mindful of how fast you're moving, and working on becoming better at your lap times. And you have 25, which is your reset. So that was a quick overview of the usage of the Radiolink RC6GS. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this quick video. I'll go back and do another video a little bit more in depth about more of the advanced programming that you can do, dealing with some of the other precepts like FS and ID and DSC, or your dual rate, ATL, your idle up, your XL, and so forth. This is a basic video for some of the beginners who may have just purchased their radio and are just curious on how to set it up, basically so they can get out and start having fun. Anyway, if you've made it this far in the video, I'd like to thank you all for stopping in on my channel, Sentinel RC. Best wishes to you. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment. It helps the channel out. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, remember, bash hard, bash often, most importantly, bash safely.